Good afternoon. I am Michelle Rosenthal, a member of the Summit's Board of Directors. I am also the sister of Cecil and David Rosenthal, who were murdered at the Tree of Life congregation on October 27th. This afternoon, I have the pleasure of introducing Tara Levine, the new president of the Foundation to Combat Antisemitism. You have all seen, I am sure, the Foundation's nationwide Stand Up to Jewish Hate campaign, which introduced the blue square worn by millions as a symbol of unity to prevent anti-Semitism and all forms of hate. I have had the opportunity to work with Tara through my role as a co-chair of the Summit Sports Working Group. There is no doubt that Tara is a remarkable person who has the vision and passion to get results in her new role. Before joining the Foundation to Combat Antisemitism, Tara led the brand marketing to drive growth at global and North American corporations, including household names such as General Motors, Converse, and Ocean Spray. She was founding director of research and advisory services at Catalyst, a think tank advancing women in business, and she wrote a book entitled Creating Women's Networks. Tara now brings her creativity and leadership talent to combat hate and build safer communities for everyone. In announcing her appointment as president, Robert Kraft, the founder of the Foundation to Combat Antisemitism, said, quote, "Her experience will help unlock the Foundation's next phase of growth and impact." I am eager to hear what lies ahead. Please join me in welcoming Tara Levine.
Thank you, Michelle. I am so honored to be here. And Michelle, I'm so honored by the work that you do. You are such an inspiration, all of the work that you're involved with, so thank you. And thank you all for having me today. I am delighted to have the opportunity to share more about the work that we do at the Foundation to Combat Antisemitism, FCAS, and our campaign to activate the power of sports as a force for change against hate. That is our Time Out Against Hate campaign. So as you heard from Michelle, FCAS was started by Robert Kraft about 5 years ago, and it was obviously amidst the rise in hate that we are seeing. You know, we saw here, we saw across the country, we saw around the world, and he often says, you know, he began the organization because America was starting to feel like Germany in the 1930s, and that's something that we all needed to push back against. In terms of who we speak to, we segment Americans, we segment our audience from allies to haters, with unengaged in the middle. We don't talk to haters because they're not going to listen to us. But we also don't talk to allies in our work to stand up against anti-Semitism because there are so many amazing organizations out there, and many of you are in this room, who are working to support the allies and give them the tools they need to continue to stand up. We talk to the 50% of Americans, non-Jewish Americans, who are in the middle, unengaged, who are sitting on the sidelines, and who are not really engaging on this topic for a few different reasons. And we created this blue square as a symbol for standing up to Jewish hate and standing up to all hate. It is designed to show allyship, and we ask Americans to wear it, to put the sticker on their phone, on their computer, and to share it on social media, again, to show allyship. And if you think about our work, we focus on 3 areas, 3 pillars. The first is the mass media, which you've probably heard a bit about. This is how we reach hundreds of millions of Americans every week. And this is through social media, through TV, through PR, through billboards, all the ways that we get our message of empathy. How do you think about how other people are experiencing hate? And we share our data, which gets people to act. And happily, what we know from our surveys is that any one of our target unengaged Americans who have seen at least one of our ads that group, having seen our ad, you're 35% more likely to stand up to Jewish hate. And that number exceeds every industry benchmark, and it's one of the reasons we keep pushing the mass media. That's the breadth. The depth of our work are the convenings. That's where we gather smaller groups of leaders, of students, where we can have deeper conversations and really drive change and allow those individuals to go back to their communities. That's the work that we do in sports. That's also the work that we do with university students in partnership with the United Negro College Fund and Hillel to bring together in unity dinners Black students and Jewish students to really rebuild that partnership. The third area is our command center. That's our data engine. And that is where we track over 500 million social media posts every single day. That's where we survey over 8,000 Americans every year, twice a year, to understand what's happening when it comes to anti-Semitism, what's the sentiment in America, to help us focus on what we need to do, but then we share that data. We share it with partners, we share it with leaders, we give custom trackers to university presidents so they can understand what's happening on their campus. And that is really, the way that we drive change against those three pillars. Now, I talked about sports as a key focus area for us, and one of the reasons is because it's one of the few places where Americans still come together, regardless of age, background, location, political affiliation. You're still coming together to root for a team. And we began this work as part of the national strategy that you heard earlier to counter anti-Semitism from the White House. They tapped us to lead a conversation with sports teams, with leagues, with leaders around how anti-Semitism shows up. And we began that work last fall with a convening of over 80 leaders in sports from teams and leagues from around the country, around the world, athletic brands, partner organizations. And that nearly 100 individuals, we discussed both some of the latest information about what was happening with anti-Semitism and the staggering scale of the rise in anti-Semitism after October 7th. We also included Jewish athletes to talk about their experiences. And of course, we moved into action. Our model for convening is always, first we educate, then we inspire, and then we act. And so you don't get to leave any of our convenings without acting, and that was true for this group. We compiled a very clear list of next steps, actions every single person could take, and we gather this group together every month, again, to educate, to share insights from our partners, and to be able to share best practices of what is happening across the leagues, across the teams around the world. Coming out of that, we were so inspired by what this group was doing in so many different ways that we really wanted to make it bigger, and that's what generated the focus across all of the leagues and really made sports a priority for us. What I'd like to do is share a bit of a video that for us highlights how we think about the power of sports in combating Jewish hate and all hate, and also shows a bit of what we've been doing this year, both with the commissioners as well as the Time Out campaign that recently launched that I'll share more about. So if you could show the first video.
We enter the stadium as individuals. Admit one. Then we wait for the magic. Maybe it's a one-hander or a walk-off, a gritty stop or a beautiful move. That's when it happens. We turn into an us. The player's best becomes our best. It erupts between us like joy and binds us like family. And in this moment we all have in common, our differences dissolve. It's how sports always seems to answer the call when we need it most. Reaching outside the lines to raise hope, instill belief, and inspire change. Now, here in 2024, hate is rising in terrifying new ways.
Anti-Semitic attacks are rattling.
And sports must once again come through in the clutch. Because the best defense against division is standing up to it. Across every field, court, rink, and track, sports has the power to rally and bring us together. So nothing can tear us apart.
I have to say, I get goosebumps every time I see that video because it just shows us how much you can achieve with sports and how much social movements have been able to partner with sports to be able to deliver that. And so as you saw, we first convened every major sports league commissioner in January. This is the first time that that's happened. We had a closed-door session, and again, Educate, Inspire, Act. We brought in a number of different individuals. We had Ambassador Lipstadt and Brett Stevens talking about the history of anti-Semitism and how it manifests today. We had Michael Lomax from UNCF and Jonathan Greenblatt from the ADL talking about the connection between anti-Black racism and anti-Semitism. And then, within this closed-door session, we then had the conversation of how do we bring this to life? And I will tell you, every single commissioner, every single leader, NHL, NFL, NBA, NASCAR, women's basketball, everybody signed up to join in this campaign. And we saw some amazing activations coming out of that January meeting. So what they used was our ad that we ran in the Super Bowl that featured Dr. Clarence Jones, a draft speechwriter for Martin Luther King Jr., talking about how we all needed to stand up to silence because it's the silence that enables hate. And we saw that ad go through so many different platforms from the leagues, whether it was the NHL with their stadium series, or the Daytona 500 that ran it multiple times, or the NBA All-Star Game, or even the NFL Draft, where we had students from our Unity dinners get up for the Patriots' third-round draft pick and talk about their experiences connecting with one another. And that, again, just showed that when we partner with sports leagues, we can really get this message out and engage and activate hundreds and hundreds of millions of fans. And based on that, we said, okay, let's create a campaign specifically around this. This campaign that we focus on calling a timeout, as you saw. And when you think about a timeout, that's when you need to stop the action. Something's not going your way on the field, on the court, and you need to stop, you need to regroup, you need to figure out a different approach, and then you need to go activate it. And that idea of changing the game, that is exactly what we need right now, certainly in this country, in terms of being able to address the hate that we are all seeing rise. So we created this campaign to show how every single league, athletes and coaches, are calling a timeout against hate, and we are asking in this ad for Americans to do the same. So
Timeout, 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 timeout!
Listen up, get tight.
This is the most important timeout I've ever called.
Things are getting out of control out there.
And we need to regroup.
Hate.
Hate.
Hate is winning out there.
Not on these fields.
In our communities.
On our streets.
In our schools.
And we need to stop it.
So let's take this moment
To change the momentum.
and call a timeout.
On hate.
Together.
Together.
So this ad launched less than 2 weeks ago on October 10th, and it is coming to life in so many different ways. First, we have the TV ad that you just saw, and that is on live sports. We've seen it on the NFL. We saw it quite a bit during the playoff games for the MLB, and it will continue to show up as each league rolls through their season. We're also seeing it certainly on various media shows. We've seen some great coverage with the Today Show, CNBC. We've gotten some great podcasts, The Breakfast Show, and others. You'll see it on billboards across the country as that comes to life. You'll also, of course, see it in fantasy football because it is the season for that. And then you also see it on social media, and this is a really important place for us as we reach to a younger audience. Social media is, in some cases, more important to us than live broadcast sports. And so you will see it on our own social media handle, What's Up with Hate, which targets a younger audience. We also are seeing absolutely unbelievable activation by our league partners on all of their social media outlets. We are seeing leagues post this and amplify it. We are seeing athletes and coaches from the ad do the same. And a number of our league champions are here in the audience, and they have done an unbelievable job with that. And what has also been amazing and has been part of our work from the beginning is that in addition to what we spend to be able to bring this campaign to life, we are also seeing networks, social media, other organizations who can help add to our campaign with pro bono advertising in some of these sports moments or online. And again, that just helps us reach many, many, many more millions of Americans who are unengaged, who need to be able to get into this game. So far, we've seen some pretty strong results. So we've been out with this campaign for less than 2 weeks. We've seen about 1.5 billion impressions so far. And one piece of that is the 250 million plus impressions just from the multi-league collaboration. So again, for us, that just reinforces just how important and what an audience all of the sports leagues have in terms of being able to speak to this audience in a way that really is being heard. And this is just the beginning. You know, this is a campaign that we will not be running for days, for weeks, for months. We will be running it for years because sports will continue to be a really critical way to be able to engage people, especially a younger audience. And social media, as you can see, will continue to expand. We will continue to work even more with content creators on social media, big but especially the small content creators who reach a very, very engaged audience. And you can see in the middle of this image is our website, where we drive folks to be able to engage, because we really want people to go to that website, to learn more about the campaign, to go to What's Up With Hate, our social media handle, and join the community, to be able to wear and share the blue square. I think everybody has one probably on their table, and if you can't find a blue square, we can get you more. But really what we want is for everyone to engage in this campaign and communicate and be a part of it. And that is a way that people can join it and show their allyship. So we ask everyone to join in this campaign. This QR code will bring you straight to that website page. And certainly we appreciate the support, all of the work that partners and leagues who are in this room have helped to be able to make this campaign as strong as it is, and we look forward to, as I said, many weeks, months, and years of this campaign. And thank you for the opportunity to share some of the work that we're doing. Thank you.